Well, SUVs are all the rage in the Indian market right now, and Renault now wants to go up market in this SUV segment with the all-new Captur. And does this car have what it takes to capture your imagination, or should you simply go ahead and buy that Hyundai Creta or that Jeep Compass? We'll find out on the show today. Well, you saw what I did with the intro there, didn't you? Capture and Captur. Let's get started. As soon as you enter the cabin of the Captur, you'll be greeted by this butterfly-like cowl around the gauges, and it really does look very cool, and it looks very stylish. You'll also enjoy this protruding infotainment system, and you'll also like the fact that you get a very intuitive infotainment touchscreen to use. Now this one is very similar to the ones on the Renault Kwid as well as the Duster, but it is a nice and easy system to operate. Now there's no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto at the moment, but of course you do get your own navigation via GPS. In terms of build quality, it is very solid and bolted together nicely. It is definitely better than the Duster and at par with the Hyundai Creta, which is of course the leader in terms of overall cabin quality right now. In terms of practicality, it's a mixed bag because this big elbow box over here does not open up, so that's a bit of an odd thing. And you get a couple of places where you can keep those small water bottles. You also get door bins which can house those small bottles in them, but those big bottles might not fit in. The best place to of course keep these beverages is in the glove box, because the glove box is pretty deep and it's also air cooled. Now Renault will offer this car with a black and whitish interior. Now this white does add a lot of sense of luxury to the cabin. It also makes it feel a lot more brighter than it is. But for Indian summers, this is a cabin which might tend to soil rather easily, so that's something that you need to take care of. In terms of seat comfort, the Captur is quite good because you get very good support for the lower back. The seat scob is pretty deep, which means that even taller people have good underthigh support for their legs. So on those long journeys, you won't be feeling tired at all and will be coming out of this car rather fresh. Well, if you are watching my video for the first time ever, let me just tell you that when I sit in the back seat, I always adjust the front seat for my height and my driving position, and my height for reference is 5'10". Now, for someone who is 5'10", headroom over here is more than adequate, and even 6-footers should not have a problem sitting in the back seat. Knee room also is just about adequate. It's not the best, but it's not bad either. It's not a deal breaker, it's decent, and there is place below the front seats where I can stretch my feet. Now, there is a lump in the floor panel over here, but the footwells are pretty accommodating. They are pretty large enough, so whoever's sitting in the middle has plenty of place to stretch his feet. He really won't have to be jostling around with the other two occupants. And the best part is that the seats over here are rather flat, which means that whoever's sitting here has plenty of place and won't be feeling uncomfortable at all. It's also a very wide car, so 3 occupants sitting abreast should not be a problem. And the second row of the Captur's cabin is a nice place to be in. Well, what also makes this car's cabin feel a lot more airy than it is the fact that you get this off-white seat fabric over here, this off-white leather fabric rather, on the top-end version, and you also get your own AC vents which aid luxury and comfort quite a way in the back seat. And the best part is that the windows are nice and wide, and the opening of the door, the aperture, is also pretty large enough, because getting in and out of this car really is a breezy affair. So overall, a nice place in the second row of the Captur seats. Well, so in terms of overall boot shape and size, this is a nice and boxy boot, which means that if you have to load in those big boxes and are shifting home, this is a nice boot to load those boxes in. And it's also a pretty spacious boot in terms of its overall luggage carrying ability. It's almost 400 liters, which is pretty good and at par with the Hyundai Creta. Now there is a bit of a loading lip over here. There's a bit of a ledge over here actually, so you might have to just struggle with those bags when you have to push them in. But to ferry your mother-in-law back to the airport along with all her luggage, this is a very good car, and one which is pretty good at accommodating those large pieces of luggage items. So the Renault Captur comes with the same 1.5-litre diesel engine which also powers the Duster, and that's a good thing because this engine already has been tried and tested when it comes to overall fuel efficiency, refinement as well as drivability. And it makes about 108 bhp of power, which are good figures considering its size as well as the segment it is in. And the best part is that you get a 6-speed manual gearbox. There is no automatic on sale at the moment, but Renault says that automatic could come later on. It won't be an AMT, it will be a proper torque converter, so that's something which will keep it ahead of the Duster in the hierarchy that Renault has. If you have driven the Duster before, you'll get a slight sense of deja vu, and I'm saying that in a good way, because just like the Duster, the ride comfort of the Captur is very good. It simply annihilates. It really does go over all the potholes and badly patched up roads with complete authority. Yes, it really does simply blow all those bad patches of road without any problems, and it really does offer you a very comforting and very coasting ride even when speeds build up and you are doing speeds in excess of 100 kph. This car will really keep you very comfortable inside the cabin. Well, so how is this 6-speed manual gearbox on the Captur to operate? It is a nice and slick gearbox. The shifts are short and they're pretty accurate, and this coupled with the fact that the clutch has a nice and linear feel to it means that shifting gears in the city should not really bore you or should not come across as a chore. It really is a nice and easy gearbox to operate. Well, overall it is a decent car to drive, but it's not the most exciting car because when you push it into corners there is a little bit of body lean. Yes, it does roll around a bit in the corners, and the steering wheel also, even though it is pretty accurate and offers you decent feedback, isn't the most feelsome unit. So people who call themselves sporty drivers or keen drivers won't really be excited too much. But that said, it is a car which offers you a very mature ride, and it's a car which will really reward you very well if you are someone who drives very sedately and very sensibly. If you don't really tend to push around your car into corners, this car will give you a nice and rewarding experience. And to be honest, most people who are buying these cars aren't really looking at sporty handlers. They want a no-nonsense car which offers you loads of attitude and also gives you a very good image when you take it to the party and you can chat about it. And that's exactly the kind of car that the new Renault Captur is. In fact, talking about noise, vibration and harshness levels, this cabin is really very well put together. It really feels very well isolated from whatever's happening on the outside, and Renault really has done a good job of subduing all the noises and whatever's happening on the outside and making this car and the cabin a quiet and calm place to be in. It really is a relaxing place to spend time in on that long highway trip. Well, you'll simply be amazed with the responsiveness levels of this diesel engine. In fact, it doesn't drive like a diesel. This engine starts responding from about 1500-1600 RPM, unlike a lot of other cars, diesel cars that is, which respond only after 2000 RPM. This one, as just said, responds from about 1500 RPM, and that makes it a nice car for driving in the city because you don't have to change gears constantly to keep it in the right power band, and it goes all the way up to about 4000 RPM in terms of its red line. Well, so even though it is slightly underpowered compared to its other main rivals, for city driving and even for highway use, 108 bhp is more than adequate. Remember, you also get a 6-speed gearbox which increases the flexibility of this engine on the highway, and these things really do make a difference when you are, of course, doing 3-digit speeds. Overall, I think that 108 bhp and a 1.5 liter unit is more than enough for your daily commute to office and back, as well as that occasional highway trip. And remember, this engine has already been tried and tested on the Duster for sheer fuel economy as well as refinement. Now, special mention has to be made about the Apollo tires that this car comes with. Yes, you get a set of Apollo tires as standard fitment, and I have to say that these tires not only offer you very good grip levels, they also are very quiet when you're cruising on the highway. If you're doing speeds in excess of 100 kph, there's no tire noise which enters the cabin, and we have tried a couple of different surfaces to figure out if it was a surface, but these tires perform very well on 2 or 3 different surfaces that we've driven them on, so there's no tire noise. And thumbs up to Renault for giving this car a nice set of wheels. Well, not only will the Captur impress you in terms of the way it drives, it will also impress you when you turn around these indicator stalks all around, because they have a nice and solid feel about themselves. In fact, they feel like they're built to last you ages, and you could pass on this car to the next generation. Yes, its build quality is that good. I'm not exaggerating, or I'm not being paid by Renault to say it. It is something that you need to go to the Renault showroom and find out for yourself. It is excellent in terms of overall build quality, and I think this car is a very mature, sensible as well as stylish car which you should definitely go ahead and check out at a Renault dealership near you. Well, so are there any negative points about the Captur? Well, I think Renault could have made it a little more exciting to drive, but apart from that, there's hardly anything to fault with this car. It really is a very impressive package. So overall, the Renault Captur comes with a stylish exterior, a very stylish interior, and also offers you solid build quality. Not only that, it also comes with very good ride comfort, and it has a very punchy as well as refined diesel engine. And what I'm trying to say here is that it really is a very good SUV overall, and if you're in the market for a premium SUV which looks very stylish, then you should definitely go ahead and take a look at this car at a Renault dealership near you. And if you are watching our video, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. The links will follow this video. It's bye for now and hope to see you soon.